This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast that I bring you nearly each and every day on the upper tier. You know the drill at this stage. Subscribe, bell notification, and hit a like on the video. Tonight we're going to bring you kind of a little bit of an extra show as well. We're going to do a Wolves versus Liverpool preview. But we're also going to talk about some topics that have come up over the last week that kind of aren't sitting well with me as a Liverpool fan. And you know, far be it from me to tell any Liverpool fan what to do or how to follow the club or anything like that. We know it's getting a little bit toxic out there. But first of all, we're going to do this preview first for the Wolves game. Seems like we've been playing Wolves nearly every week for the last month, doesn't it? Like, it's just crazy. May as well start the training beside Molyneux at this stage. But let's get into this preview before we chat about the other stuff. Henry joins us in the comments tonight. How are we, Henry, in the chat? Check Henry Ray Baker channel. Check that out. Always on the shows here. Great lad. Go and check out his channel. He's telling me here he's on 59 subs, folks. So get out there and drop the man a sub. Get the man to 60 subs at least. If this man isn't on 60 subs by the end of this show, I'm going to be very, very disappointed in this nice little Reds community here that we're building. So get over there and give the man a sub. Get him up to 60 and maybe even a little bit more before the end of the show. But let's go through this Wolves preview. Well, we saw defence of our FA Cup go down the drain against Brighton the other day. Really disappointed in it, but again, not surprised. You've seen my match reactions and stuff like that, so no surprise there at all. But we turn our attention now back to the league, and the opponents are Wolves, who are really struggling at the moment. And wouldn't it be just like us to rock up to Molyneux now and give them a little dig out in their season, let's say. But yeah, definitely tough one to go. They lost 3-0 to Man City. That was their last game on the 22nd of January. They felt the wrath of the Norwegian Terminator, Erling Haaland, who again rocked up with another hat-trick. Kyle's in the comments here as well. Check out Kyle's channel as well. Kyle Walsh Gunner. Absolutely check out his channel there. Absolutely fantastic. Not a happy man at the moment. Doesn't have Jorginho on the back of the jersey, I would imagine, yet. May do by the end of the season, but doesn't have him on there yet. And Kyle says he'll drop him a sub. There you go, Henry. Kyle will drop you a sub now, bang you up to 60. Great stuff, Kyle. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, folks, we will be back at 9 o'clock tonight for our Thursday Tier Talk. Myself and Dazzler, the dynamic duo, will be gracing your screens. And we will bring you a Premier League preview. We will bring you Beat the Bookie, our tips for the weekend. And we'll be talking about all the latest news, the fallout from the transfer window. And we might even squeeze in a small little discussion about one Mason Greenwood, if we can keep it on an adult level and not a banter FC. So let's see what happens. Henry, I have no idea, but I'm going to figure out now. We're going to go through it now and try and figure out what sort of team we're going to put out at Molyneux anyway. Yeah, but absolutely. Running out of options, as they say, but we're all good. Training is our transfer window, we were told. They're also on a very bad run here, Wolves. They're on one win from their last 7 matches in all competitions, and not one that will inspire confidence. Not since November 2021. Have Wolves managed to claim back-to-back wins at home in the Premier League. That's a startling stat there, isn't it? And they also remain the division's worst scorers at home with 6 goals. 6 goals at home so far this season. Really bad from Wolves. A team that, like, we've revered in the past and stuff like that. Raul Jimenez, Adama Traore, Podence, Diego Costa's there now, you know what I mean? And yet they can't. It's you can't figure out what it is. I know Lopetegui has come in and he's done a better job of shoring them up, although the City game is forgivable, obviously, because they're just different level. They've really struggled. Likewise, we played out Klopp's 1,000 game in the most dullest draw you'll ever see against Chelsea. I don't even know what to say about that, to be honest. Just so bad. But yeah, let's have a look at this as well. So We also suffered their second. We also suffered that defeat at Brighton the other day, which was an absolute killer, such a late goal and stuff like that. And look, we're architects of our own downfall, really, when you think about it. Current form at the moment. Current form, you're looking at Wolves with 3 losses, 2 wins and a draw. This is in the league. Liverpool at the moment with 3 wins, 2 losses and a draw. Really, really poor form at the moment. And dare I say, this is a must win for the Reds. Our backs are against the wall. We have to get 3 points here. If we fail to get 3 points here, we have no chance. Absolutely no chance. And once again, we're putting it in the hands of other people. In terms of our own destiny, if you like, is not in our own hands. Warren is in the comments. How are you, Warren? Good to hear from you, buddy. Also, check out Warren's channel Saturday afternoon. There's a cracking show. Warren, I will be up in arms this Saturday because the Liverpool game is at 3 o'clock, and you will hear me all the way to your house if things don't go right. Without a shadow of a doubt. But at the moment, I'm good. I'm just in the door from the gym. Had a nice shower and I'm ready to go. Plenty of content to do tonight, as I said, back at 9 o'clock as well. Coil's in. Big up the legend, Warren. Absolutely check out Warren's channel. Absolutely brilliant channel there at the moment. Henry, I believe it's 8 at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. And Warren is in. Hi, Mr. Wexford. How are you, buddy? Giving away Kyle's location. I like it, Warren. I like it. Mr. Wexford. Hey, Mr. Wexford. Does that have a ring? I want to go back to that, actually. Let's explore that. Mr. Wexford, Kyle, is there something you want to tell us? Are you frequenting is this the answer to the Chippendales or something down there in Wexford or something like that Warren is alluding to? Let me know. Acers is in. Very sad news on the Genius. That's 68. Him, Macho, back together. Oh, yeah, dig it. Yeah, very, very sad news. Yeah, just what do you say about it? We'll cover it on Dynamo's doesn't, of course. But yeah, now both of them gone, really, really sad news. Yeah. And Coyle is back in. All good, buddy, considering the disaster of a window. Ooh, not happy with the window. Not happy with the window. We will see this weekend. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. If you've had the disaster of a window, imagine how I'm feeling right now. Our FSG sunning themselves on their new yacht with their dollars. Now, what FSG are doing, believe it or not, Henry, and I was going to talk about it after the preview. They're paying back their own loans to themselves. You know the way you hear United fans, and they come on and they complain about the Glazers and the dividends and all that stuff and all. At least the Glazers are up front and they take their dividends. What we have here is we have lads just taking money back on the QT, dressed up as loans, which were supposed to be interest-free loans, which we're now finding out are not exactly interest-free either. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Not only Henry, there's plenty to talk about in relation to FSG and Jurgen Klopp and the squad and the whole thing. We'll be getting into that. Warren's here. Niall, what did you think about starting a campaign to get Dazzler to set up his own channel? I would love it. His knowledge is off the scale. I'm thinking he should call it the Confessions of a Dazzler. Absolutely. You can ask him yourself later, Warren, if you want. If you think about it, really, this is kind of not just my channel. This is me and Dazzler, really, I started out originally with Ian doing this about 2 years ago off the Chelsea Roar and Dynamo's Dozen. And then Ian got caught up in a number of other podcasts. So I took over the football one during the lockdowns and stuff like that and the quarantines and stuff because I had nothing else to do. So I started talking to myself in a laptop, which was pretty cool. And then Dazzler came on. Originally, I was doing the Shankly sessions with Dino, if you remember. Dino's a cracking lad and stuff like that. One of my best buddies and stuff like that. Very passionate about the club. Very, very passionate about Liverpool. But this is kind of like Darren is a big part of this channel, you know what I mean? And I've often said to him at times if he wanted to do his own show, but just time constraints are massive at times for both of us and stuff like that, So, and we're putting out quite a bit of content as well. So between that and I'm self-employed, he's self-employed, we're both running companies and running businesses and stuff like that, which takes up a lot of our time. And, you know yourself, there's always the side hustles and stuff like that that you have to do as well to make ends meet, especially in this country. So it's a tough time getting all the time available that we can and stuff like that. I would love Darren, and I've often said it to him and Mark, our resident referee, to do their own Man United podcast on the channel, like the way I do this one, the Shankly sessions. And they'll look into it and stuff like that, but it takes a lot of commitment and stuff like that. But yeah, great shout, Warren. Great shout. Coil's back in. Hopefully there's a few chicks looking at this tonight. You can send them down here to the sunny southeast. I'm in the sunny southeast as well, Coil. I'm not too far away from you, buddy. Some would say only a stone's throw away. What is going on with Diogo Jota? Diogo Jota, I think, as far as I know, he's back on grass training. But they're trying to get him fit, hopefully in time. I think for the Real Madrid game was the last that I seen. And the man is in the house himself, Dave's LFC chats. How are you, Dave, my friend? Another tough weekend coming up for us. We might need to get together at the weekend for an L therapy session, maybe after this match, depending on how it goes. But I'm quietly confident that the boys are going to show up this weekend. Quietly confident, and I hope they do. Let's get some team news while we are here. So, where am I? Team news. Here we are. Team news. Wolves are missing Chiquinho, Pedro Neto, Boubacar Traore, and Sasa Kalasic. And that's their ones that they're missing at the moment. That's the latest news. For Liverpool, we are missing, strap yourself in here, Henry. We are missing Konate, Virgil van Dijk, Arthur Melo, this new signing, Arthur Melo. Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, Bobby Firmino, and while Fabio Carvalho is unspecified, he is out, and Nat Phillips, of course, who was about to leave until Konate got his injury. Nat Phillips can't catch a break, do you know that? I love Nat Phillips. I think he's brilliant. I think there's a certain limitation to him, but he's one of those guys, he'll go out on the pitch and give you 110% every time, and he can't put a price on those guys. And he was about to go out the door till Konate got that injury. And I'd be sad to see him go. He's one of those guys. I could put out a list there of lads I want to see go, you know, before Nat Phillips. So they're both going to be assessed. That's your kind of team news and update in terms of injuries. In terms of Wolves starting lineup, Sa in goals. Hope he's not on form, and he's on form. He's a killer. Semedo, Collins, Kilman, Bueno, Nunes, Neves, Lemina, Traore, Kune, and Podence. That's the potential starting lineup for Wolves. For Liverpool, Big Ali in goals. Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Matip, Robertson, Thiago, Bietic, Elliott, Salah, Nunes, Gakpo. That's what I reckon might be out there. No, I'd like to meet up for a point and a chat sometime, but Dazzler too. Yeah, absolutely. We'll arrange some sort of a meetup or something like that, or we'll put together some sort of a charity match or something like that. And we'll try and generate a few bob for a charity or something like that and have a bit of crack coil. Put something together. Maybe we'll go sort of like a selection of you Gunner guys against maybe the upper tier and stuff like that. Might get Dave involved as well, stuff like that. I won't be doing much running around. I play at the back or else in goals, or else I can just do manager or I can do flagman on the side. Dave, don't be so melodramatic. Absolutely, good Lord. Nat Phillips is old school. He certainly is, Dave. He's an absolute cracker. Shades of Terry Butcher off him. You ever seen when he has that bandage on his head and the blood is oozing out of him on? Doesn't give a damn. Just full on and stuff like that. Love Nat Phillips. And Henry's in here as well. We have more holes than a pitch and puck course. Absolutely. Dare I say a teabag. But let's go. That'd be deadly. No, we'll get Del Boy too. Yeah, we get all the lads involved. Try and even prize Warren over for a weekend, and maybe towards the summer or something, we'll set up some sort of a charity match, have a bit of crack, and after go out for a bite, eating a few points and stuff like that, and just have the crack or something like that. Say, listen, I'll certainly kneel cheering up. There's no doubt about it. That's been a disaster of a season so far for us. I'm hoping we can rescue something. You boys might be coming over celebrating that trophy that's over my shoulder there, so let's see what happens. But yeah, I did a little prediction. And I'm going to go, I think this is going to be a tight game. And Dave, you let me know what's your thoughts, what's your prediction on this. I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Liverpool, of course, because I'm sick of predicting draws or whatever it is. So I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I think we probably will concede. But I'm hoping, 2-1 Reds. Yeah, spot on, Dave. Absolutely. I had a look at the betting as well on Boyle Sports today. Shout out to Boyle Sports. Wolves are nearly 3-1. The draw is 11-4, and Liverpool are 5-6. Sometimes when I look at these betting odds, I'm kind of thinking, is anyone putting these betting odds together? Are they actually looking at football week on week with the odds that they give out and stuff like that? How we're below even money is startling. I also had a look at a nice tidy bet there as well. And of course, always gamble responsibly, gamble aware, and all that kind of good stuff. So I went with Liverpool 2-1. And I went Núñez to score first. Big Darwin to get the first goal. Surely to God, we're going to go into a game where we score first and it's not an uphill battle. And that will get you a tidy 25-1. So if you want to have your €4 that you find at the back of the seat in your card on that, 25-1 will return you €104. Liverpool 2-1 and Darwin Núñez to score first. That's our preview. Now, let's get on to all the tough stuff that we need to talk about. My thoughts on the transfer window. I think any of you Reds fans, if you haven't had a chance yet, David Lynch put an article up on This Is Anfield explaining the situation and discussing the situation with FSG and stuff like that. And rather than spending money in the transfer window, they decided to pay back some of the internal loans in relation to the stadium development on the training complex, which under normal routine and normal business, I would say, yeah, well, that's okay, so long as we're doing what we should be doing in relation to the squad and in the transfer market. Now, I have a little bit of a theory on this, and my theory on this is that, and Gakpo as a signing comes into this as well, because I think Dave has spoken on his channel as well a couple of times as well about how the fact that we haven't signed a midfielder since 2018. And I think in that time we've signed 4 forwards. And I don't believe for a minute Jurgen Klopp is that naive. But he said that this is what has happened. And I wonder is this FSG preparing for the sale by reducing down the loan book, the internal loan book. And I wonder, is that some of the conversations that have been had maybe between FSG and the Qatari situation or whatever it is, or whoever they're talking to in relation to say, look, do they want to come in on a full clean slate with no loan debt on the books and all that kind of stuff, which is ideally the way you'd want to come in if you're going to purchase a club. But I wonder did those conversations happen during the transfer window. So I wonder, did we go out and club said, yeah, Cody Gakpo, 33 million plus add-ons, yeah, we'll take him, boom, done. And when we want to, we can be quite decisive in the transfer market. We generally are, and we're normally pretty quick when we're not pimping ourselves out to Jude Bellingham. But what I was thinking was he also promised at that stage a midfielder or two or more signings, because clearly we were in serious trouble in terms of injuries and in terms of performance and in terms of options. You know, we were being forced to play players that see themselves going out of the club, Keita and Knox and stuff like that. And well, they'll go on and they'll put in a performance. I mean, if your heart's not there and you don't see that as being your future, you're not going to perform at the 110% that we need you to perform at. So I wondered if something changed mid-January in terms of the approach to the sale of the club or the investment that was going to come in, or whatever way we want to call it. And what happened was that absolutely blew the opportunity to sign someone out the window. And that's not me. That's, look, everyone knows my view on FSG and stuff like that. There's been plenty of good. There's been a whole lot of bad. And if we want to continue being competitive in football in 2023 and onwards, we do need new owners. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, that was just kind of something that I thought about because, you know, the other thing I was thinking about, the Klopp look at his midfield and he's saying that he has 8-9 midfielders there. And I don't think he's naive enough to think trying to think like Jurgen Klopp would think, which is very difficult for a guy like me. I'm just a content creator. But I wonder, was he thinking, this is just a run of bad form. This midfield will come back good again. Fabinho, Henderson, Ox, Keita, all these guys. These will come back to form again. Maybe they haven't suddenly become bad players. Maybe the mileage on their legs from last season, they might be eventually able to kick it off and kick it up and raise it up a gear and stuff like that. And that just simply hasn't happened. And that just simply won't happen. And then the kind of things that really grates on me is when I see, you look at, say, United, Eriksen picked up the injury. He's going to be gone till April or May. He might be gone for the rest of the season. Who knows? And straight away, they're straight in there for Marcel Sabitzer. And I'm just thinking, did we not know that he was available on a loan? Did Jurgen Klopp not know, with his links to German football and Bayern Munich and Dortmund and all that thing, and the contacts he would have there, did he not know that he was available? And you have to ask yourself those questions, don't you? And then you look at the other side of it. You look at Pep, and Pep acting so decisive as well. When a player's not happy and stuff like that, you're out the door. No one's bigger than the club. Joe Cancelo off to Bayern Munich. And you think about that move as well. Absolute fabulous player, Cancelo. Super baller. One of the best in the league. Let's not make any bones about it. But had a bit of a falling out with Klopp. Wasn't happy with his playing, or not with Klopp, with Pep. Had a falling out there. A bit of an argument. Wasn't happy with his playing time. See you later. See you later. No one's bigger than the club. Off he went. And then I looked at the interview with Pep and Rio. I don't know if any of you guys in the chat caught that interview with Pep and Rio, which I thought was excellent. And the one thing Rio asked Pep was, why do you keep on tinkering and rotating and bringing in new players and stuff like that and all? And Pep kind of turned it back on Rio and said to Rio, how many Premier Leagues did you win? And he said, I won 6. And Pep said, well, did you win them with all the same teams? And Rio said, no, obviously not. And that answered the question. And that's kind of been our stumbling block in terms of, look, we love Jurgen Klopp. I'm certainly never Jurgen Klopp out. But I think his close relationship with the players at times has clouded his judgment in terms of being decisive and ruthless in terms of making decisions. And loyalty sometimes is a really, really good thing. But misplaced loyalty at a time where it's visually straight in front of you can be a really, really bad thing. And especially in football, because I often say, and I've said it many times on these podcasts, players don't get sacked, managers do. And that doesn't mean that Jurgen Klopp should be sacked or is on the verge of getting sacked or anything like that. I firmly believe with new owners in on the right back, and he is certainly the man to right the wrong that's there at the moment in Liverpool. So that's kind of the stuff that's come up. The other thing that's come up as well is this whole Bellingham thing, how heavily we're linked to him and all, and it's just it's gas. The Bellingham thing is kind of like watching a romantic movie, that just may or may not work out, and you don't know until the end. I don't know, pending on how the ownership thing goes, and if we do get sold. I think if FSG are still in charge, and I think if we're out of the Champions League and we don't make top 4, I think we've armed them again with excuses to not go and get Jude Bellingham. And I think if they do go and get him and they blow the money that's being spoken about, I think we're going to have a bigger problem, because I looked at the squad. Today, and I had a look. And you look at Keita, there was talk they were going to try and extend his contract for 2 years. Apparently talks broke down, but look, that could still happen. Who knows? There's talk that Ox would be leaving in the summer, but would it surprise you if they put an extension in there? And Milner has been extended, so that's 3. But there's also 6 players there at the moment that are out of contract in 2025. And these are the players that we went through. Remember that summer where we redid all the contracts, and I think it was the season we picked up Konate 2 years ago. I think it was 2 summers ago, or 2 summers ago, yeah. So they're all coming up for renewal as well. So we're going to get a situation again this summer coming. where we're going to have to start renegotiating contracts again to maintain players? Or are we going to go down the road of being ruthless and go, thanks for your service, you're absolutely brilliant, but your time has come? Which should happen with a number of players. And I think if we have to go in and potentially negotiate 6 to 9 players, depending on what unfolds over the next few months, I think that's what's going to happen, and maybe one marquee signing, which might be Jude Bellingham. And then you have Jude Bellingham. If he comes in and he's the only kind of signing that comes in to be dropped in there, he's not going to solve all our problems, because we are struggling at the moment all over the pitch, everywhere. We've got problems riddled throughout the whole team. Any starting 11 that we put out there, any formation that we try, any positions that we put players in. And we should talk about positions as well, because there's players at the moment being played out of position. There's formations being thrown out onto the pitch during in-game management and stuff like that. And players look to me bewildered and quite confused on the pitch at times about what they're being asked to do, to the point where we've seen a little bit of kickback as well off players, where Jurgen Klopp has given them an instruction and they're looking at them going, what do you want me to do, kind of thing. And there's a bit of back chat and stuff like that that wouldn't have been there before, in terms of, you know, how they respect this Jurgen Klopp and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that coming in. And a lot of those issues come to the bubble, to the boil, when things aren't going well. If we were winning games and we were in around top 4, and, you know, we were still in one of the cups and stuff like that, and we were still hadn't got as many injuries and we were going into Real Madrid game, a lot of this stuff wouldn't really happen. So that's a real concern for me, this Bellingham thing. And I just don't know. He's a fabulous player. He's a fabulous talent. But he's not the answer to all of Liverpool's problems. And I have a real fear at the moment that next summer we might land him and then some contract renewals. And that would be a disaster in terms of, one, the pressure it's putting on him. We can see already Cody Gakpo has come into a situation where it's an absolute shit show. And he's carrying the weight of that as well. You can see the way he's playing. He's a much better player than he has showed, but he's carrying the weight of that. And he's carrying the pressure of that up front and stuff like that. And dare I say, also being played out of position. Which, for the love of me, I just cannot understand. That just grinds my gears as well. The whole top 4 thing is a real concern for me as well. Insofar as, if we don't get top 4 this season, the last thing we want is Thursday night football. But apart from that, what happens is there's a lot of clubs there at the moment now with a lot of wealth that are developing their squads and stuff like that. We've seen what Chelsea did in the transfer window. Absolutely unbelievable. We've seen how Newcastle is going to operate. They're starting to move players around. They're starting to make room for players to come into the squad. They're going to strengthen heavily. They're going to bring their squad up and stuff like that. And especially if Howe goes and wins the Carabao Cup against Man United. And congratulations to both teams on reaching to the final. But also, if he gets a top 4 finish with Newcastle, they're going to give him a war chest in the summer to go out there and sign some really, really interesting players. And they have also been mentioned in the Jude Bellingham conversation. So that would be certainly an interesting one. And quite frankly, it would be unthinkable and unforgivable if we're missing out on players, top players, to Newcastle. That would really demonstrate how far we have fallen. But there would be long-term consequences for that as well, in terms of, you know, that whole competitive area for that top 4 and stuff like that. A great man, the lads in the chat will know, a great man once said, a top 4 finish is like winning a trophy. I wouldn't quite go that far, but it has a huge impact on your attractiveness, your finances, and just your general morale around the squad and around the team and around the fan base. We love Champions League football. We're European royalty. Although at times this season we haven't shown it at all. But history would say the top table of European football is where we should be seated and should be eaten. Not on Thursday night football, and certainly not even outside of that. So I'd be really concerned if we miss out on top 4. I still think there's a slight chance, but that slight chance starts this Saturday at 3 o'clock. And if we can't put 3 points on the board this Saturday, we have serious issues. Little few concerns coming out there as well in relation to player recruitment. Have been a little bit concerning. Obviously, Michael Edwards exiting the building was a huge loss. Said he wanted to leave to take some time out and stuff like that. Was that really the case, or could he see the writing on the wall? A year into the job, obviously, and Julian Ward as well wants to head out the door as well. So I'm kind of concerned about the direction we're going in. We also were losing our key analytics guy as well, our data guy, if you like. And I'm a little bit concerned on what way the direction of player recruitment is going. What way is it going to lie? How is it going to sit? Are they apportioning more power to Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp in that area and stuff like that? So it's a little bit concerning. And I just wondering what's been happening there and stuff like that, that these guys now feel, especially Julian Ward. Julian Ward was the successor. He was the heir to the throne for Michael Edwards and stuff like that. And just for one reason or another, is it frustration? Is it a power play by Klopp and Linders? Who knows? But it could be frustration. It could be that maybe they went in and they did their analytics and they turned around and they said, this guy now has reached his level, gotta go. This guy's reached his level, gotta go. And maybe they made recommendations of players that should have went. And maybe Jurgen fought for these players to stay. And maybe that frustrated the guys. Or maybe they recommended signings that needed to come in for us to continually progress. And that didn't happen. And the ownership didn't press the button on it. And then the boys just questioned, well, why are we here if we're going to keep them coming to the table and tell you, this is what you should be pushing out the door. This is what you should be bringing in. This is what is shown. This is what the scouting information is. Pull all the information together. And for one reason or another, it just hasn't happened. I don't believe for a minute, I can't believe for a minute that Julian Ward and Michael Edwards' department in the last 4 years, or 5 years nearly now, haven't recommended at least 3 to 5 midfielders. Surely to God they have. And for one reason or another, between those guys and then Jurgen Klopp and then FSG, it just simply hasn't happened. And that's why we find ourselves in the trouble that we're in. Warren, back in the comments. Come on, everyone, hit that like button. Absolutely. Subscribe if you are new and make sure to give the notification bell a little tickle. Absolutely. And last but not least, please remember to share the content around far and wide. Absolutely. And not only that, subscribe to all the lads' channels that are in the chat. Always subscribe and share the love. Kyle Walsh, that great man, should have went 10 years before he did. You Arsenal fans, you're very cutting, aren't you? You're very cutting. He did, yeah. I tell you now, listen, I don't need a limb now for the top 4 finish. How are you falling? How have we gone in 7-8 months from the cusp of a quadruple and completing football to the begging bowl of trying to get into the top 4? It's crazy. Warren, what do you think are the top priorities for Liverpool to address in the squad in terms of recruitment? Certainly the midfield needs a lot of work. To the point where we probably need 3, I would imagine, probably 3. Because we didn't bring in one in this window. We didn't bring in one in the summer. Whatever happened, we were chasing Tchouaméni. For one reason or another, that didn't happen. He went to Real Madrid. And it was like the plan of signing a midfielder just evaporated out of nowhere. So I think that's really, really important. I do think as well, I think we'll have to bring in a central defender. That's going to be really, really important because I think we have Konate there. Virgil obviously is there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Matip exited the building. Might even need 2, who knows? And if Joe Gomez potentially would exit the building. I love Joe Gomez, but I just think at key times in matches, I think he just switches off. And a great man once said, 100% concentration, 100% of the time. And we don't get that with Joe Gomez, unfortunately. I think midfield needs absolute surgery. And then I think we have a decision to make up front. I mean, the first thing that has to be addressed is we have to decide what formation do we want to play, because 4-3-3 without the press is a waste of time. So if we're going to change up the formation, and the formation, like if you go with a 3-5-2, or 4-2-3-1 or whatever it is, that decides then different pockets of players that you potentially need to bring in, and also exposes players that are there that are just simply not good enough. We're also going to have to work on the age of the squad, because the age of the squad, quite frankly, with the fact that we're writing off a season and mortgaging ourselves out for Jude Bellingham, all those players that are there now are going to be a year older. So some people would say, right, they're 28, they're in their prime or whatever it is. Next season, they're going to be 29. It's going to be another season under their belt or whatever it is. And a lot of them have been picking up injuries and stuff like that, as you can see from our injury list. So that's a real problem as well. We have to figure out in the medical side of things as well. It's gas to think that one of the guys who was so injury, like if you think about it, the players that were so injury prone for us, Matip, Thiago, who constantly picked up injuries and stuff like that, have been part of the most resilient players this season. And the players who have been most resilient for us, available to play week in, week out and stuff like that, are the players that have fallen by the wayside. So that's a real concern. Not having a club doctor for 6-7 months wasn't great, and a medical team. So I think it's really, really important to get those basic things back in place and stuff like that, and get an understanding, get a bit more scientific in our approach, to be honest. But yeah, certainly the midfield. I think up front as well, we're going to have to make a decision up front as well. Obviously last week there was talk of cashing in on Mo Salah. The talk is he might go to PSG for £70 million, €80 million or whatever it is. So that would change the dynamic. But we also need to figure out, if we are going to stick with Mo Salah, and we do believe that, form is temporary and class is permanent, we're going to have to create competition in that area, real life competition, because he's been, although his stats haven't been the worst, they haven't been Mo Salah level, and I think he's been coasting. You see him in games where he's just coasting along. There's some games where he's back to himself, he's scoring goals, he's assisting, he's taking on players, controlling the ball, all the stuff that we expect from Mo Salah, that cleverness. And then there's games where he just looks so average and out of the game, it's untrue. And a lot of that has to do with some of the form of the players around him. But when you're at that level, you also have to sometimes take the bull by the horns and make something happen yourself. Be out there as a leader. Don't just be accepting it and stuff like that. And I think that's been a real problem this year. Obviously, we gave him that big contract as well. But I don't think he's that type of guy. Like, he's not like, he's not one of those guys that's going to get a contract and kind of sit on his laurels. I think he's a proud guy, and he's a proud footballer and stuff like that. And the run of form at the moment wouldn't be sitting well with him. But we haven't done anything really to help him in terms of bringing in someone who's competitive for that position, but also taking him out of the team when he's not playing well. We haven't been able to really do that. Our hands have kind of been forced, and we've been trying to force his poor form and try and let him play through some of the poor form that he has to come out the other side. But unfortunately, some of that requires the players around you to be playing really, really well, and unfortunately they're not. So it's very, very hard to judge the form of players at the moment, when, like, with the exception of Alisson, I suppose, and Bietic, who has come in, everyone else has kind of been hit and miss, and okay for a game, then go missing, okay for 2 games, go missing. So it's very hard to judge it. The last thing I wanted to talk about really was, well, there's 2 things. One is the fan base. I don't think any fan out there of Liverpool should judge your own fandom of a club. I've been following Liverpool since 1978. So, I'm 42 years following Liverpool. I love this club. I love going over with my son a couple of times a year. I love the city. I love the culture. It reminds me so much of Dublin and the home and stuff like that and all. It's so welcoming. I love the accent. I love everything about it. There's not many places on this planet that I go and I visit, and when I'm there, I say, it just feels like home and it's comfortable. I love being at Anfield. I have shared so many great moments. I have shared so many tough moments. I have cheered on the cop with my son. I have cried on the cop with my son. Um, and it's just, I don't think I can understand where some of the fans are coming from, where you don't fully understand if you're living there and you're walking by the stadium every day and you go to school there and you were brought up there and you walk by the corner shop and the park and the Albert and all that kind of stuff, and you're ingrained in the city. And I get that. But I think it's a kind of a different kind of fan way, but I don't necessarily think it's any better or any worse. I think if you're a fan of a club, you're a fan of a club. It's ingrained in your life. Liverpool is a huge part of my life, the club, but I love the city as well. And I always make a point, and I've said it on podcasts before. Um, I like to think I've done a good job in bringing Ben up as a supporter of Liverpool Football Club, because I've educated him on the history. We've gone back through everything. He understands, what it means to be a supporter of that club, that you wear it on your heart, that it means so much to you, and that it's everything to you at times, and especially going over and stuff like that. And we've shared some great moments. First time we went over there together, um, we went over and we watched the viewing of the Champions League final in Kiev. Myself and Ben were sitting in the cop watching it, and of course Salah got injured, and the rest is kind of history. And he was in tears that night on the cop. And shout out to Tom. Tom from Redmen TV was beside us, and Tom came over to him, and Tom turned around to him and he said, and it rings so true, and I love this. Whatever your views are about Redmen TV, Tom's a great lad. And Tom turned around to Ben. He says, "I want you to stop crying," he said, because he says there'll be brighter days ahead, and there'll be much better days ahead, and the tears that you feel now, you'll shed those tears even when we're successful, but there'll be tears of joy and you'll feel so much better. And it just so rings true. And it really breaks my heart to see when a fan base gets toxic like this and reactory and, you know, calling each other out about who's a fan and who isn't a fan. I don't care if you're a fan and you're Klopp in or Klopp out. I've seen everything. I've seen the disasters in this club. I've seen the highs. I've seen the lows. Um, I've seen how tough it has for 30 years. It was one of the toughest things in the world to follow. When Man United were at their peak, and then Arsenal came along, and then Chelsea came along, I took horrendous grief for those 30 years. But I always followed Liverpool. Never questioned my fanship of them. And Ben is the same. We love Liverpool Football Club. And it breaks my heart, as I said, when I see fans going in on each other. We all want the same thing. We want Liverpool to be the most successful club it can be, to win trophies, to give us great moments, to have great players, but to do it in a way that lives through the legacy and the history and the lineage of the club and stuff like that, the boot room and all this great stuff that was developed back in the day. But football evolves. And that's the problem. And if you don't evolve with it, and this is what happened to us. If you look back into the 90s and all, Man United evolved, became this financial powerhouse, attracting in players and all that kind of stuff. We were left behind. Then Arsenal came along, Arsene Wenger, changed the world, changed the science of football and stuff like that now, with some fabulous teams and the way they played and stuff like that. Again, we were left behind. Then Chelsea came along and jumped into the Roman era. And, you know, a lot of money, a lot of players coming in, all that kind of stuff. And again, we were left behind. So we can never forget where we've come from. And we can enjoy the moments as we go along and stuff like that. And there's always going to be peaks and troughs. You're never always going to be at the top. But I would like to think that we make the right decisions and we do the right things to be competitive and be in the conversation and be around it. Even if you don't win it, that you're there or thereabouts, and you have a card in that poker game, and not to be sort of mediocre, mid-table, picking up third and fourth choice players at times like we used to do and stuff like that. I would hope that we've moved on from that. And I think as a fan base, it's really, really important. If we want to get this team back to where we want to be, we have to come together. this is the time to come together. And I'm one of those fans that I don't care what someone says to me or what they think, because it's not going to bother me, because I followed this club for 42 years. And it doesn't matter to me whether you're FSG in or you're FSG out. The only owner I want in this club is the one that's the most ambitious, who's going to put up the money and is going to get us back to winning ways and winning things and being competitive and being up there in around trophies. That's all I want. So I think we need to come together, and there's a bit of toxicity out there at the moment and a lot of reactionary stuff. And of course, there's a lot of headlines going out there through social media and all that kind of stuff. What I would say to fans is keep your powder dry for the moment. See how this sale all pans out and stuff like that. I'm as disappointed as anyone in the way this season has gone. The drop-off has been huge. We didn't expect it. We thought we were going to go into this season and try and we go again. And these players don't want to be playing this way either as well. They want to go out there with smiles on their faces, enjoy their football the way they did. So many great moments last season, even though we didn't run out the way we wanted, but we won the 2 domestic cups with so many great moments on the way. So what I would say to fans out there, and this is not me telling you what to do in any way, whatever way you want to support the club is the way you want to support the club. Whether you're a Scouser living in Liverpool all your life, or whether you're Niall Hogan who lives in Wicklow, Ireland. Support the club whatever way you think is best. But remember, we all have the same end game, and that's for Liverpool to be the most successful as that they can. And that's really, really important to remember. And I just thought I'd put that out there because it saddens me, even looking at content creators, when I see guys out there making content and stuff like that, and in the middle of making content, they're going in on each other because of their views and stuff like that. It saddens me. You know what I mean? Because that's not what we're about. So I think content creators out there as well, including myself, have a role to play in this. We all want the same thing. We all know we need new owners. We all love Jurgen Klopp. We all love the players that are there. We know that some of them are coming to the end of their career, at least at Liverpool. We thank them for their service and everything that they've done. We look forward to new players coming in. We're hoping that we have a good summer. We're disappointed in what we had got in January. And it's one of those things where you reevaluate your expectation for the season and stuff like that. And I just hope we can go on a run. I hope we can put some points on the board. And I hope we can get back into a top 4 race. And that's going to be really, really tough. And one of those elements is us as fans getting behind the team and bigging them up and try to give them a bit of confidence to get back in there. So with that in mind, I'll take some of your comments, and that's really all I have to say on the pulpit. Warren is there. William Saliba still hasn't signed a new contract yet, and at the end of the season, he will be in his final year. Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem, Warren. Great project there at Arsenal. When asked where they are from, Scousers often say the capital of Ireland is Liverpool. Absolutely, the bond between us. And it doesn't matter to me, Warren, either. I don't care if you're from Ireland or from Liverpool or from Saudi Arabia or Qatar or America or wherever it is. I have spoken to hundreds of fans in America on American supporters clubs. We've also gone and met them a few times and stuff like that when we've been over there and all. We're one big family as Liverpool fans. And it's the same for every club. It doesn't matter whether you follow Man United or Arsenal, Man City, whatever it is. Look, fans are fans. And we should support each other. These are tough times. As a huge Arsenal supporter, I always loved Liverpool, a real club in my eyes, the greatest football club in the world. Really appreciate that, Kyle. Henry's in the comments here. Walk on with hope in your hearts and you'll never walk alone. 100%. People should say that, Henry. When people are going on social media and they're outing fans and stuff like that, you should stop and just recite that. Doubters to believers. This means more. We expect more, all these kind of stuff. But the song that we have should stay strong through the tough times and the good times. We are a huge family, support each other. There is no one in club yet. Kyle is there as well. Ben is a lucky boy, Niall. Well done to you as his dad. I have a daughter only, and she is brought up as an Arsenal fan. I'm bringing her to the Emirates next season. I can't wait to share it with Amy. Shout out to Amy as well. Fair play, Kyle. Yeah, absolutely. That bond that you have with your kids, like you can't put a price on that. Those moments and stuff like that. To the point where actually we took a picture on the on the Cop, myself and Ben, when we were there, and it's actually on the Champions wall at the Megastore up at the ground. Myself and Ben's picture. It's like a little tiled mosaic on the side of the wall. Right beside Stevie G's captain's armband, believe it or not, if anyone wants to check it out. Myself and Ben there, we took a picture of the two of us in the Cop, and we had a chance to put it on the Champions wall there about 2 years ago or whatever it was, and it's there forever, and it's a legacy that's there. And when I'm dead and gone and he's still going over to Liverpool games with his kids, he'll be able to bring them to see his granddad or his dad and their granddad on the wall, on the Champions wall there at the Megastore. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Warren, you're a great father, Niall, that is clear, and what a great speech. Absolutely, Warren. Love it. Love it. Cheers, lads. And Henry, I got to go. Ta for now. Stream. Good night. Chat. Cheers, Henry. Thanks for joining us. Hope you got up to, let me know, did you get up to 60? Kyle and the boys are great for that type of thing. Hope you hit the 60 mark, man, and I hope you hit 600 and 6,000 and all. Keep it going. Keep it rocking. That's it, folks, for me for the Shankly sessions. I will be back in just over an hour. We will be back live at 9, myself and the Dazzler, for Thursday Tier Talk. We will be doing a Premier League preview, beat the bookie with a few tips. We'll be talking about all the latest news and the fallout from the transfer window. And I think Dazzler wants to have a bit of a chat about one Mason Greenwood as well. So it's a show not to be missed. Make sure you're there. Acer's back in. Ridiculous. Nottingham Forest just signed 30th player of the season today. They're on a mad one, Acers, aren't they? Stevie Cooper's on a mad one. And you know something? I can't hate them. I love Stevie Cooper. Can't hate him. And the way he talks, and the way, even last night when he was talking after the match, and I don't know if you caught it, he went over to Jadon Sancho and they had a moment on the pitch and stuff like that. I think Jadon played for him in the under-17s or something like that. And I thought it was really nice to see that. And I just have to say, I'm a Liverpool fan and stuff like that, but I'm very happy to see Jadon Sancho back playing football again. These young boys getting a lot of money thrown at them and stuff like that and being left to their own defences and stuff like that. And, you know, with mental health and all these kind of things and stuff like that, you know, they need a bit of care and a bit of attention, and every so often they need a bit of a hug to say you're doing okay, kid. A lot of pressure on them and stuff like that. And it was great to see Jadon back out playing last night, and I hope he goes on and plays in the final as well. And yeah, that moment with Stevie Cooper last night was kind of cool. You will not hear me complain about Stevie Cooper, and you will not hear me complain about a promoted side doing everything they can to stay in the Premier League by signing players. Hats off to them, and I hope it works out for them. Warren, with the final comment, it is also very important for fans to remember, especially when it gets toxic, that every fan has their own supporter experience, and no one is a bigger fan than anyone else. Absolutely, Warren. Absolutely. I'm following Liverpool 42 years now, and I don't see myself any different as a fan as anyone who has started following the club during the Jurgen Klopp era or the Mo Salah era or whatever era it is. We're all the same, one big happy family, the Reds, and we just got to keep it going. Folks, until next time, this has been your kind of Wolves versus Liverpool preview, and of course a little bit of therapy and my thoughts on some of the stuff that's going on at the moment. Let me know in the comments what you think. As I said, I don't really care on what level you are in terms of things. You're still a fan of Liverpool Football Club, and as such, you'll always be a friend of mine, and welcome to talk to me. But until next time, we will talk to you again real soon, and I will catch you guys at 9 o'clock for Thursday Tier Talk.